between, you can always interrupt me. And then if you have any confusions or if you have any doubts, you can always ask me, or if you want me to go a bit slow, so you can interrupt me then and there as well. Okay. So let me just start with the presentation. So good morning, class. My name is Rimjim, and I work as a cloud engineer at Infosys. I also have an working experience at L&T Group, wherein my core technology includes cloud, working on Google Cloud, and then Azure and AWS Cloud as well. Okay, so talking about today's topic, the topic for today's web development session would be Bootstrap using Grid and Flex. So in today's session, I'll be covering what Bootstrap is, what are CDNs available in, like, if you can see on the screen, I have mentioned some agenda for today. Like, I'll be covering what CDNs, what are the CDNs in Bootstrap 5, what are the versions available in Bootstrap, and then how do we import a CDN from a website, or how do we use Bootstrap particularly, okay? And then what containers are. So in Google also, like in cloud also we have containers. So the containers in cloud and the containers in web development, those are very different. Okay, so if anybody is aware, do not try to do not get confused among containers here and containers in cloud. Those are two different topics. And then we have, like, what is the reason behind using Bootstrap. And then after covering all the basic topics, I'll be doing some labs using Grid and Flex to get a basic view of how do we write and how do we get started using writing a basic Grid and Flex program. Okay, so let's begin. And also, class, please let's make the session a bit interactive because it's Sunday morning, and let's not sleep, okay? Because I wish that this session becomes a bit interactive, and then people ask a lot of questions, and then uh, this topic is at least clear, because it's an important topic, class. Like this bootstrap topic, I don't think it's there in syllabus of BC or engineering, because I am a BCA graduate and I did not had this topic in my course. So I think that this topic is new for everyone, and then let's make it a bit interactive and let's try to understand as much as possible. Okay. So what Bootstrap is. Okay, so let's talk about what Bootstrap is. So if you're viewing any website, for example, class, so if you're viewing a Mintra page, or if you're viewing a Flipkart page, or let's say if you're viewing a Naukri.com, or if you're viewing any kind of websites, okay, so you are having a lot of options to open that website or to access that particular website. You can open a website in your phone as well. You can open your the same website in laptop, or you can open that same website in a larger screen. Okay, so those are nothing but those are called as breakpoints in Bootstrap. Okay, so whenever a web developer is building any kind of website or any kind of application, he always has to make sure that he always has to make sure this in picture, that a user can open a website anywhere. Okay, so we have to design a website in such a way that it has to look similar in all the places. Like, our website should not look different in phone, like our website should not look very different or very weird in laptops, and the UIs and all these things are overlapping on each other. Okay, so to overcome this thing, we use Bootstrap. Okay, so like I'll show you also, like whenever I'm doing the labs after the presentation, I'll show you how do we inspect the code, how do we see whenever we're using Bootstrap, how do we see like our websites are looking at different places. Like our HTML code is, how does our HTML code look in iPhone, and how does our HTML code looks in a tablet of a larger screen. Okay, so I'll teach you all those things. But the reason why do we use Bootstrap is to have a similar fashion, to make sure that our website is looking similar at all the places whenever we are building our websites. Okay, whenever we are building our HTML codes. Okay, so that is the reason why we use Bootstrap. So if anybody is asking a question what Bootstrap is and why do we use Bootstrap, so you have to you have to have this concept clear to make our websites look similar at all the places. Okay, so that's the reason why we use Bootstrap. Okay, so next is, like, Bootstrap is the most popular CSS framework for developing responsive and mobile first websites. Okay, so herein, if I'm saying responsive, what do I actually mean is, like, to make sure that my websites look similar and it responses in it give me a similar response in whenever I'm opening my website, in phone, in laptop, in tablet, at anywhere. Okay, Bootstrap 5 is the newest version of Bootstrap. So like we have different kind of versions available in Bootstrap, and you can use Bootstrap by importing the CDN available on the Bootstrap official page, or you can install the application and then you can use depending on your wish. Okay, and Bootstrap is the free front end framework for faster and easier web development. And then Bootstrap includes HTML and CSS based design templates for typography, forms, button, tables, etc. And then I'll show you how do we use all these features in Bootstrap. And then Bootstrap also gives you ability to create responsive designs. Okay, let's move ahead. So these are the reasons why do we use Bootstrap. So it is easy to use. So whenever I'll be running the code, you will just see like it is very similar to writing a basic HTML program. You just have to know the context, like just have to know the format and the structure of using Bootstrap. Otherwise, it's just similar to writing a basic HTML program. And then it is responsive. So Bootstrap responsiveness adjusts to phone, tablets, and desktop. So as I told you, this is the most important feature of Bootstrap. It is responsive. So like no matter where you build your website, it will make sure that it is responsive whenever you're using Grid or whenever you're using Flex. Okay, so it would make sure that our website is in a similar fashion. It would not overlap, like images would not overlap our labels, our text fields, our checkboxes would remain at the same place whenever we are building it. It would not overlap. So, for example, if you like, for example, let's take an example of an image. So, if you build a normal HTML program having two images or having a lot of images on your in that particular HTML program, so what it would do is like whenever you're opening in your, like you would design it, because you're writing that program in your laptop, you would design it in a fashion that it would like all the accesses you would make sure like my first image should be displayed here, second would be here, and third would be here. But after saving that program, if you try opening the same HTML program in your phones, or try opening the same it's a dry run class, you can just do this test. You can write an HTML program having a lot of images there, and then you can try opening that same HTML program in your phones to see how everything is adjusted without using Bootstrap. And then try running the same program while using Bootstrap, and then see like wherever you have placed your elements, it would be in the similar place. Okay, otherwise, if you're not using Bootstrap, then it would overlap each other. So, for example, if I'm having Learnovate here, this image, here also I have, here also I have. So, like the responsiveness would not adjust. It would like the second image would overlap the third one, the second image would overlap on the first one. So, like this, it would appear. It would not look in a similar fashion. Okay, so whenever a user is viewing, you always have to, because client is very important class. So whenever you are developing anything, you're developing it for the client. Okay, so you have to make sure like everything is just like is user friendly. People are not having, so for example, if you're using Flipkart in your phone, and you have to, and you know that whenever you open it on a laptop it's a bit weird, so you'll never use Flipkart, and the sales would drop in that case. So that's the reason why these UI things are very important. And then we have mobile first approach. In Bootstrap, mobile first styles are part of the core framework. And then we have browser compatibility also here. So Bootstrap 5 is compatible with all the modern browsers, like for example, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, and Opera. So it is like whatever browser you're using, like it is compatible with all the latest browsers. But if you need support for Internet Explorer 11 and down, we like the latest version, which is 5, it is not compatible with it. You have to either use BS4 and BS3. So that is one thing which you have to make sure for all the IE people, the people who are using Internet Explorer. Okay, so this is the most important thing. What are CDNs? Okay, so there are two part in which we, as I told you in the very beginning, there are two ways in which you can use Bootstrap. Either you can download it from the website getbootstrap.com, or either you can include it from your include the CDNs in the header section of your program. So let me just open the website first. So if you open Bootstrap, first thing which appears is the official website of Bootstrap. So this is the, as I told you, responsiveness is the important feature. So if anybody asks you why it is responsive, and then why do we call Bootstrap as being responsive, what is the reason behind it? So you should always know. So as I told you, this is 5.2.1 is the currently used version for Bootstrap. Either you can download it from here or you can include it. So if I just click on all releases, these are all the releases. So for example, in 5.x version, we have 5.2, 5.1, 5.0. Similarly, we have 4x, 3x, 2x, 1x, all these versions available. Okay. So you can download it. Like if I just want to download 5.1, I can click on 5.1 and then I can get it. Okay, either if I do not want to use if I do not want to install this Bootstrap, what I can do is like I can import the CDNs available. So this is a CDN available for CSS and framework. So I can just include this particular CDN. So the second CDN available is for JavaScript with Popper. So I can use this particular bundle also, or I can use both these bundles available. First is for CSS and the second one is for uh, JavaScript. Okay, so this is the way wherein we can use wherein I can use my Bootstrap page. So we do not have to do anything. We just have to import these two CDNs available on the official website in our HTML programs. Okay, and then you can just, as I told you, you can download it from here, or either you can just import the CDNs available. I'll show you how do we import it, and then how do we write a normal HTML program using by importing. Okay, so whenever we are importing, we always have to make sure that we are importing it in the header section of my program. Okay, you just have to go down. See, I told you, right, install via package manager. So we can install it using this way, or I can include via a CDN. So these are the two CDNs which are important. There are other CDNs also depending on my demand. Okay, so let's just keep this website open as of now. Till that time, I'll just cover other topics as well. Okay, is it clear, class? Is everybody clear? Why do we use Bootstrap, and then how do we import, or how do we, what are CDNs, and then what is responsive feature for Bootstrap as of now? Because this would be my common expectation, like by end of this particular session, everybody should know what Bootstrap is, how do we include a CDN, why Bootstrap is responsive, what is grid, what is flex. Okay. So let's go ahead with our presentation. So as I told you, like we have containers in Bootstrap. So why do we use containers is like it's the most basic layout element which we use in Bootstrap. Okay, and then this I would be needing to make my grid, and then to make my grid and to make my flex programs a bit structured. Okay, so it provide margins, padding, alignments, and more to my HTML elements. So whenever I'm writing my program, whenever be writing my grid and flex program, I'll be using containers to write my program. Okay, so it gives a structure. Basically it would provide a margin, it would provide an alignment to my program, to my Bootstrap program. And then whenever we are using containers, what we have to do is we have to use this container class. So we have to use this keyword container, container. We have to use this keyword container to write my to make sure that my Bootstrap, or to make sure that my Bootstrap program is a bit aligned. Okay, so this is the keyword which we would be using today. And then it's the most important Bootstrap class. It provides margins, padding, alignment, okay, to my program. Okay, and then let's move ahead to the most important part for today. So we have two things in Bootstrap. We have grid, we have flex. Okay, so why do we use grid? First thing, like Bootstrap grid is used for layouts, specifically responsive layouts. Okay, so as of now, what I taught you is like I taught you what Bootstrap is, what are CDNs in Bootstrap, how do we write a Bootstrap program, how do we import. But to make sure that I'm providing a layout to my program, as I told you, it provides, Bootstrap provides a responsive layout. So how do I achieve that goal? So to achieve that goal, we either have to use grid or we either have to use flex in that case. Okay. So Bootstrap grid is used for layouts, specifically responsive layouts, and grid is made up of grouping of rows and columns. Okay. And Bootstrap grid allows up to 12 columns across this page. Let me just go ahead on presentation mode for this. And then if you do not want to use 12 columns individually, you can group these columns together to create a wider column. Okay, so let me just have a pen. Okay, so what grid does it? So for example, let's consider this as my website. Okay, so what would grid do is like it would divide my page into rows and columns. Okay, so my horizontal line would be my row, and then my vertical line would be my columns. Okay, and then the most important thing in grid is it makes up to 12 columns across this page. Okay, so what it does is like, for example, this is my page. Okay, consider this as my page, this red line as my website page. Okay, so what grid does it? It divides my page equally into 12 columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. So it would divide my page equally into 12 columns. So my entire screen is considered, let it be any kind of screen, let it be a phone screen, let it be a tablet screen, let it be a laptop screen. So what it does is whenever I'm using Bootstrap, what it does, it first thing it would do is like it would divide my entire page into 12 columns. Okay, as I told you in this picture also, if you can see, like I have it, it would divide my it has divided into 12 spans. Spans are nothing but columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. So, for example, what it would do after I have divided into 12 columns. So, for example, if you want to display three images, so first image you want it to here, second image you want it here, and then third image you want it here. So, what you would do is like you, for example, like if you divide 12 by number 3, what you will get? 4, right? So, similarly, whenever you are writing your program, what you have to do is like you have to make sure that you're using this 4 count. Okay. So if you want to display three images, so what you would do is like first image would be displayed where my partition has completed this 4, then again 4, and then again 4. So in this way, it would display my images. So for example, you want to display your page into like you want to have two images equally on a page. Okay, so what you can do is like 12 we all know that like my website is divided into 12 columns and I want to have two images. So in that case you will have a 6 count, 6 here and then 6 here, like 6 in the other half and 6 in the other half. Okay, is it clear, class, to everybody? So whenever I'm writing a grid program, I always have to make sure that my entire website is a nothing but is a count for 12, like it is divided into 12 columns. Okay, let's go ahead. And also, like as I told you, we have this concept of breakpoints in Bootstrap. So what are those breakpoints? So we have XS for small screens, we have SM for extra small screens, and then SM for tablets. Okay, MD for small laptops, LG for laptops and desktops. And then these are the pixels which is being defined for XS. So if I have 768 pixels wide screen less than 768 pixel wide, I'll be using XS. For screens equal to or greater than 768 pixels wide, I'll be using SM. For screens equal to or greater than 992 pixels wide, I'll be using MD. For largers, we'll be using greater than 1200 pixels, we'll be using LG. These are the 4 default classes. Also, class, this is also very important concept. We like everybody should know what are the breakpoints in grid. So these are the breakpoints like XS, SM, MD, LG. These are nothing but sizes which we use in clothing also. And also like these are the 4 default ones. Apart from that, we have XL also, we have double XL also, we have triple XL also. Triple XL screens, like for example in cricket stadiums we see a bigger screen, so for that also we have breakpoints. But talking about the default ones, we have this 4 default classes available. So let's go ahead. So this is my sample program for grid. So as I told you, to write a normal grid program, what do we have to do is like we have to use containers first. So this container keyword came into picture, and then as I told you, and grid is nothing but dividing your page into columns. Okay, so this is what my column was, like column SM4. So this SM is nothing but my breakpoint. I'm writing this program for SM, which is for smaller screens. So this is for SM, so I have used here. And as I told you, it should be a count of 12. So 4 counts up to 12. And how I am writing my program is like in the first part I'm writing example 1, in the second part I'm writing example 2, in the third part I'm writing example 3. And this would also, like, first program, second program, and third program, it would be displayed in this fashion. Okay, so as I told you, the structure is very easy. Like everything has a syntax of its own in HTML. So to use grid, we have to make sure that we're using container class, which would do nothing, but it would provide alignment and padding to my code. Okay, and then we have this grid program, and like we have to remember this, like how do we write a class, call hyphen sm hyphen 4, and then this way I'm dividing my thing. Okay, I hope this is clear to everybody till now. And then the last topic for today is flex. Okay, so grid and flex are a bit similar, but the only difference between grid and flex is, like, grid uses this divisioning thing. Like my entire screen would divide up to 12, and then I have to display my elements according to that 12 column count. But flex, nothing. Flex, we do not have to overcome that grid 12 count thing. We web developers develop this flex thing. So the flexible layout module makes it easier to design responsive structure using float or positioning. So positioning we were using in grid also, and there's no difference. But therein we were using this 12 thing in place. But here in flex we do not have anything as of such. Flex utility can be used to manage the layout, alignment, grid, column navigation, etc., etc., etc. All these things were there in grid also. Use flex classes to control the layout for Bootstrap components. So in flex we have classes available. So for example, this is, and whenever I'm writing my flex, I have to make sure that I'm using this d-flex class available. Okay, and then what I have done is, like, bg secondary, this is nothing but a css element, and my text would be white. And then I'm just displaying my three elements: item 1, item 2, item 3. So this way I have just displayed it in a similar, like in a very simple way here. But if I would be writing this program in grid, what I would do is, like, I had to write call hyphen sm, like sm for smaller screens, or here and I can also write m, and then I have to make sure that I'm writing the number 444. Or if I'm displaying two elements, then I have to write call hyphen md hyphen 6, then call hyphen md hyphen 6 for two elements if I'm displaying. But similar thing if I'm displaying in flex, I only have to make sure that I'm writing item 1 and item 2, and then my flex class. There are n number of flex classes available. I would be showing you some today. Okay, and then links we have. So the reason why I covered this link was, like, using my grid and flex, like I'll be showing you how do we add links to my code. Okay, class, is it clear to everyone till now? Any doubts anybody is having, or um, you want me to explain in a bit detailed way? Okay, you have a minute, class. You can just um, revise the topics which I covered. Till then, I'll just prepare for the labs. I hope the topic is clear to everybody. At the end of the class, I'll be picking any one of you, and then I'll be asking some questions. So get ready for that as well, because I do not see anybody responding or putting anything in chat. Okay. So let's go ahead with the lab. So, like, I have the basic HTML structure ready with me. So what we would be doing is, as I told you, we would be importing the CDNs available. Okay. So what I would do is, like, I would go to the page, Bootstrap page. I will copy the CDNs available here. So I have to copy the CDNs. I have to go on my page. And then, as I told you, in the header section of my program, I have to import my CDNs available. Okay. So I would go here, and then I would paste the CDN which I copied from there. This is my first CDN which I copied from the website. I have to go to the website again. This is the CSS thing which I copied, and then which I imported. And then I have to go on my page again. and then I have to copy the second CDN. Okay, so I have copied both of the CDNs available. Okay, so herein what I have done is, this is nothing class, but it is a link, okay, which I have provided. href tag, what href tag does is, like, it would provide me a link. So what it is doing is, like, as soon as my code runs, it would look for this particular page, JS deliver CDN Bootstrap 5.2.1. This 5.2.1 is nothing but the latest version available on for Bootstrap, okay? And then this is my CDN link. So it would go on the link, it would look for the CDN, and then it would try to run my Bootstrap program. Okay, and then similar to this, this is nothing but this is also JavaScript with Popper CDN, which I have imported from the website. And then you always have to make sure that whenever you're importing your CDNs, you have to make sure that you're importing in the header section of your program. Okay, so let's get started. So these are the ways in which you can import it. Either you can download it from here also, you can install depending on the version available and depending on the supportability. Also, like, if anybody is not aware, how do we check the version for Chrome or anything? So you have to open appwiz.ctl on your laptop, and then herein you can see what is the latest version available. So for Chrome, the latest version is 105. For Microsoft Edge, my latest version is 105.0.1343. So depending on your versions, your browser version, you can use the CDNs available. Okay. So let's go ahead with the program. And then, as I told you, we would be using whenever so this is a grid program which I'm writing right now. So whenever I'm using grid, I have to make sure that I'm using containers. Okay. I guess the font is okay for everyone, but let me just increase the size a bit more. Okay, so in the body section of my program, what I'll do is, first I will use container class. If class is equal to container, let's come out of this. And then, since this is a grid program, I would be needing rows and columns. So div class is equal to row, and then I'll come down, and then I have to use this call -sm-6. I'll just divide my web page into two things, like first half and then second half. Okay, so I would be using this div class is equal to call-sm-6, since I'm dividing. Okay, my page is not, my 6 button is not working. Okay, so let me just divide it into 4. 6 is not working. Okay, let me just divide it into 4 itself, and then I'll come down, and then I'll write some content here. So let me make sure that I'm writing here example 1, which I showed you in the come down, and then I'll write here a paragraph, maybe let's say exam first section. Okay, /p. I'll come down, I'll close the div. Also, class, you can write this program using, what do we say, using Notepad++ also. Okay, by importing the HTML format in your Notepad++. But I try to use this basic Notepad thing to make sure that everything is clear to all of you. I'll do one thing, I'll copy these things 3 times because I don't want to waste my time writing these things again and again. Okay, so as you can see, I have divided my screens into 3 sections. First section, second, third. Okay, and then after this, I guess one for row and then one for container. I need to have 2 more divs. So this is the thing, like if you're using Notepad++, you do not have to make sure that you're closing the tag which you're opening. That would come automatically. Okay, and then let's make sure that I'm saving this program. Save as. Bootstrap. This is September. So I'll write sept.html. Save it in Bootstrap. Save. Let's go to the location. Open this thing. So as we can see, it has divided my page into 3 sections. First section, second section, and then the third section. So as I told you, what it would do is like it would consider my entire screen as a column as a total 12 column count, and depending on that it would display my elements. Okay, so first count, second count, and then the third section. And then as I promised you, I'll show you how do we inspect the code. So you have to click on this inspect button, click on the toggler device, you have to click, and then herein if you can see dimensions are responsive. If I click here, if I click on iPhone SE, it would be similar. Like my this particular page which I have developed, it would look similar in iPhone SE. It would look similar in Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. It would look similar in Surface Duo. It would look similar in Galaxy Fold. Like not even my one element would overlap each other. So at this place, I can also place in images. Okay. So herein, if my code says like this, so instead of writing this paragraph or instead of writing this header, what I can do is I can have an image. img src is equal to the name of my image. I can import any kind of image here. Okay. So let me just also go here since I have an image in my HTML and CSS. So let me just copy the image first and then only I can paste. Is there a GPG file? No, I don't have an image. I thought that I had an image here in HTML and CSS. Okay, no worries. Let me just copy this image. Open Paint. Bootstrap. Let me just give it the name learn, Learn, learn.jpg. Save. And then let's do what? Instead of writing the code, let's copy this code. So what you have to do is like instead of dr.8, what I have to write is learn. So what I'll do is I'll copy this content. This is I guess this is there in assignment thing. So what you can do is like in the first section, in the second section, instead of writing this, you can have the image code. Okay, learn.jpeg. And then the catchy thing here is like whenever you're writing a program, you always have to make sure that the code and the image resides in the same place. So for example, this is my code, right? LERN. And then this is my particular HTML program. So all these things are all the program and the image. It should be there in the same path. Okay, so this is my path. So both my image and both the program, it should be lying in the same path. Okay, let's come back to the program. So what I have done is like img tag I have used. src is mainly for the path. Learn.jpg is my image name. Width I have provided 500 and 600. So I'll not use this such bigger height and width. Let's just have 100 and 100. Okay, let's save the program. So I have included only in the first section. You can include it in the second and third section also. Like I have included in the center one, I guess. Where is my code? So let me just refresh it. So if you can see, my first image is here. And then if I'm using Samsung Galaxy 12 Pro, none of my images would overlap each other. So this is the main feature. So let me just copy this image. Control C in the third section as well. You would not see any of my images overlapping each other. Okay. Control S, and let's go ahead and inspect the code again. So if you would see in iPhone SE also, it would look in a similar fashion how my alignment and everything is here. It would be in a similar fashion in S8 Plus. It would be in similar fashion in iPad Mini. It would be in a similar fashion in Galaxy S11. Okay. And then, as I told you, margin and padding is provided by my container. So herein you can also see like border, margin, padding, and then my HTML program here. Okay. Class, is it clear to everybody? Guys, is it clear?